how do you hook up your motherboard to the power supply?
Hi, I'm Paul, this is Diane, and we are the I told you I was going to wear yellow today.
Well, this is the power color.
We're both wearing yellow. You're so funny. Power, that makes sense, because today we're going to hook up the motherboard to the power supply. We're going to show you how to pick the cables. We're going to show you a bunch of tips along the way as well.
And there's a lot of different cables and connectors. How do you know which one to use?
Right, and if you're doing a high-end build like we are, the process actually really changes. So let's just get right into it and start telling them what's going on.
Let's do that.
All right, here's the power supply box. This is the Corsair HX1500i. It's a very powerful power supply. It's able to do the overclocking, and we're gonna have a high-end graphics card, so we need a lot of power. This is already half empty, this box, because we've already put the power supply in. But before I go into the cables themselves, we need to talk about what else do you do differently with a high-end build. You probably aren't gonna wanna use the stock cables. These cables are perfectly fine from an electrical point of view, but from a design and aesthetic point of view, they're ugly. We want to use something much prettier. So you're going to replace them probably with cable mod cables, and cable mod cables come in kits that are already pre-sized, and they're going to be a little bit long for every connector. Or you can make custom cable mod cables where you pick the color of each cable and you get to pick the size, so you can have really tight fit and channeling from wherever it's hooking up to wherever it's going.
Nice.
But we got to get our Hello World PC up and running, so we're going to use the stock cables first. We're going to measure each one before we put it in, and then measure how much more or less length we want, because we're going to go all the way to custom cables where every cable is the exact length we want it to be. When you measure, always use a metric tape measure, because when you get up and order those high-end cables, it's going to want to know how many centimeters you have, not how many inches. Next, we prepare the case. This has already been done. We've taken off the back panel, the side panels, the glasses in the front and the side, and the top. We have access to anywhere we need to have access to put a cable if we're routing it, except for there's still a couple more areas we may need access to. In the back here, there are some other cubbies that are used for the SATA hard drives, which we're not going to be using. We're using SSDs, but that gives you access to the back of the motherboard, maybe even to other channels to the front of the motherboard. And down here, there's another little cubby where there are also more space. Like if we need to route a cable down through the bottom, we can do that. So know your case, take it apart. At this point, I usually have my case completely apart, so I have access to any part of it I need to route those cables. Also, you should identify your routing channels in advance. In this case, power supply comes out here. It routes straight down through here. That's the main routing channels. You could take the cables into here. You could take them into these cubbies. And on the other side, there's places where they come out. Let's get a look at those, Di. On this side, we have these little rubber grommets here. This top one is used for the power to the motherboard, and the bottom one typically goes to the graphics card that needs a separate power. Now, this power up here will come through that little hole. There's no rubber grommet, so we'll be real careful not to get the cable shredded at all on that. If we had to, although there's no power down here, we could even go under here. And finally, we already took out RGB strips that were built in. There were plastic inserts with metal on them, and they actually blocked access to these ports and this port. We're going to leave those out for a while. Watch our last video if you want to see how we took those out.
All right.
Before you begin, the last thing you want to do is you want to turn off and unplug your power supply. Now, we're just building the computer, so it's not even been plugged in yet. But if you are in the middle of changing out your cables, make sure you unplug the power supply and wear the wrist strap. Anti-static, ground it to a mat, and ground the mat to the ground in the house. Okay, Di, remember what we did right before we put the power supply in?
Yeah, we took a photo of the back connectors.
Yes, and that's a real important thing to do. So we showed that in that other video, but just take a picture with your iPhone of the back connectors. The reason why? It's hidden in here. It's very dark. And one of the things you might have noticed after you've taken the photo, notice how some of these, the power clip is at the top and some of them are at the bottom. Some are upside down, some are upside up, the labeling. You'll need all that information while you're installing your cables. And if you don't have it, you're just going to be fumbling around. Okay, next tip, Di, is to pick an order. If you know which cables you're going to hook up, you can actually decide where you're going to hook them up into the power supply as well, because the power supply has multiple similar connectors. So you could hook it up here or here or here. Some things will only connect in one spot. If you know what you're going to hook up and you know the order you're going to hook it up, then you can pick in advance which connectors you're going to use on the power supply and connect those first. For example, I always like to pick the far back corner and hook and work my way out. So every time I have a new cable going in, I don't have to go around another cable and try to find this hole and get it connected. I'd rather connect it while that hole is easily accessible for that connector. So that's why you want to start on the front side. And let me show you where all the power connectors are on the front. The motherboard, in my case, has 4 power connectors I have to do right now. I don't have a graphics card mounted because it's a Hello World build. Once we put the graphics card, we can deal with its power at that point. For power, we're going to need CPU power up here at the top. There's 2 of them. The reason they're up near the top is underneath this water block is VRMs. They supply the power to the CPU. Now there's 2 on this computer because this motherboard's a high-end board and I'm going to do overclocking, so I'm going to hook up both of them. Most computers up to about 300 watts of power for the CPU can take just a single connector. This over here is the ATX power plug, and what it does is deliver the rest of the motherboard its power. This connector you may or may not have on your motherboard. Modern motherboards will have it. This one supplies power to the USB-C charging in the front of your computer case. So a lot of computer cases nowadays have a USB-C connector on it, and to provide power delivery, it needs its own power. Next, we're gonna pick the cables, all right? We already picked the ATX cable, so I'm gonna set that out here. We need 2 CPU cables and 1 PCIe. This says CPU. Do you see that, Di?
Yep.
There's another one, and this one is a PCIe. It's kind of got the connector split. That's not uncommon, but we just kind of hold it tight like that when we plug it in and it works. That's all we need for this build. Next, we're going to measure our cables, okay, Di?
Okay.
Before I do that, I want to take these 2 CPU cables. I'm going to try to hold them side by side and see if they're the same length. Yeah, they're exactly the same length, you can see. So let's start with the ATX cable. When you measure a cable, measure from where the wire hits the connector to the other end. Try to pull it as tight as you can, but don't include the connectors. And this is exactly 60 centimeters long. The CPU cables, they were both the same size, 65 centimeters. And the PCIe cable we're going to hook up to the power delivery, also 65. So after we install these cables, we're going to measure how much is left over that we don't need, and then we're going to come up with the size that we're going to order with Cable Mod. Now the interesting thing about this is you can install it to the power supply first or the motherboard first. The easier way, because we're going to measure the cables, is to start with the motherboard, because from the motherboard it's going to quickly do a turn, come back into the case and back up here. If we start at the power supply, that little turn would be hard to measure how much is left because it's hard to bend a tape measure. But if we end up with the cable up here, we've hooked up the motherboard side, we got the right amount of bend on the front of the case, we can tell here with a straight measurement how much too long or too short it is. Okay, if you look at the power supply up here, the IQ's here, the ATX big motherboard plug is up there. So down here, what that tells us, this is the hardest connector to get to, that way in the corner. These are all SATA plugs, so we don't need them. The next 2 or 3 easier ones that are deep down in the hole are these 2 and this one. So why don't we do this, Di? We'll put our ATX in first, our 2 CPUs right there, and we'll use this one, which is also kind of in the back because it's down at the bottom. We'll use that for the PCIe and do that one last.
Good thinking.
All right, so let's go to the other side and do it.
Okay.
So the order we chose is to start with the ATX plug. It's the most buried one on the power supply. If you're not sure which way to plug it in, don't worry, it'll only go one way because each one of these little pins is either square or some sort of weird shape that makes it impossible. Square peg into a round hole, kind of impossible, unless you got it right. So this goes in, I feel it. It can't go in any further, so maybe that must be in.
You must just not make a clicking sound.
Click. Right. Okay, let's take this through the grommet, like I said before. Now you got to decide how much of this you want sticking out. You could have it stick out a lot or a little. This is going to be one really cool flat cable with combs on it when we're done. Now, in this case, I like to go about halfway up the case back. I don't want to get near the glass, and I don't want to start cutting off airflow because it is a big flat piece and the fans are going to be over here. So I'm going to go about here. On this side, we want to route the cable into the channel and bring it up and hook it up. and it looks to me like this is just going to fit the length it is. So I don't think we're going to have to order cable mod cables any longer or shorter than this one. Okay, this is a lot better. Can you see in there, Di?
Yes,
This is the big one. That's the next one. Let's start at the top and get that in first.
Do you want me to do it? Because my hands are smaller.
Yeah, you could probably do it a lot easier. Yeah, why don't you do it, Di? Your hands are tiny here.
Yeah.
This is why we do the back one first. It's so hard. Oh, here you go.
That's really tough.
Oh, it's not so easy now, is it?
No. There we go.
Perfect.
Is that it?
No, you didn't get it all the way in, but I could push it in the rest.
Yeah, because I can't get that in.
You have your own strap.
I like using your strap.
Oh, brother. All right, so now I'll just push it in the last bit. I heard it click.
Oh, good.
This is easier now because I know it's lined up with the last one. Yep. Go in. Click. All right.
Perfect.
Now you see how we got these in the far back? Now that I'm looking at it, the next two hardest ones to get to are these two way in the back. So let's put the CPU into these two plugs.
Okay.
All right. And one other thing, Di, see how tight this is coming through here? You know what? I might actually order this to be a little bit longer than the one we got. So if I think in terms of centimeters, I'm going to order maybe an extra 10 centimeters longer when I do my custom cable. It gives me a little bit room for the wrap on the other side, a little bit easier room to kind of fold it into the back of this part here out of the way. So my ATX cable was 60 centimeters, want 70 centimeters.
You need some strength to put those things in.
Well, some of them are really tough to get in, but you want them not to come out, I guess. All right, so for this is a PCIe cable, so this is a CPU cable. On the CPU cable, the side that says CPU is the one you want to use. Now we know it's going to come out right here. In this case, these cables, I tend to like them to be less visible. I don't like them to stick out quite as much into the case, because these are your flagship cables, these plus the graphics cards. So we need to get it into here and then somewhere out of the way fast. I could try to drag it all the way around and through this rubber grommet, but then it kind of covers a whole lot of the case inside. I'm going to try to get it through that hole in the back instead. CPU side is this one. So I'm threading it back in through this side. I got to get it so that it bends around and that the connector is going to end up on the top. So it has to be like this, so that once it's bent, the connector's on the top, and then plug it in.
What do you mean connector on the top?
See the connector part that you pinch?
Yeah.
If it's on the bottom, it's not going to fit. So that kind of helps me to know the orientation in this case.
Okay.
CPU, oops, even better clip.
Yeah.
CPU has power. Now, how much do I want showing on this side? Well, I do know I'm going to have an RGB strip right here. So let's go get that and test it out. This RGB strip, which goes in right here like this. That's how it's going to end up, like that. So having this stick out is kind of silly. I think I want it to go as straight that way as possible. What do you think?
Well, does it matter for Hello World?
It doesn't matter for Hello World, but once we do Hello World, we keep working and building out the rest of the computer. So.
Oh, yeah.
And it matters for how long the cable we order is for the next set of cables.
Okay.
Got it.
I heard the click.
Me too. Actually, as long as we're here, let's do one more cable now. Let's put the PCIe cable in, and then when we get to the other side, we'll route and determine the length of all these cables, all right? Now the PCIe cable splits at the end to a 6 and 2 pin. The 6 pin is enough to power a small graphics card. Because these were made for graphics cards, this version came out to get about double the wattage, up to about 150 watt graphics card. And the cable manufacturers just find it's cheaper just to make it so it falls apart.
Oh, that's interesting.
In our case, we're going to take the full wattage, so we kind of hold them together and then plug them into the PCIe. This is for our power delivery to the USB-C. There it is, click. And that's going to go, I noticed it wants to line up a little bit lower than this, but we'll take it like it is anyways. We'll shoot for it to be like this.
Okay.
All right, so they're beside each other when they have the combs and everything. It'll look pretty.
Okay.
Okay, now on this side. Now notice our cables came out up top. If we needed to, we could route it down in here, but there's really no reason to go that way. We're just going to go flip right around here to the power supply. We want the CPU ones in those back two slots back there. So they're going to be really short compared to all our other cables. If you look at it, I'm just looking at now for mapping the size that I want. I would think about to here should be enough. So I have a good deal more cable here than I need. So this is where the custom cable mod cables are going to come in handy. And this is about 20, we'll say 20 centimeters too long, 45 centimeters. So now these are just going to be extra long and lots of cable in the way. Man, I couldn't imagine doing this after having other cables up in front.
Right.
Okay, one more. I know about where I want it to go. I know about how I want it to go. There it goes. There we go. That was some work. Okay, never want to touch these again until I get cable mod cables. Unfortunately, they're very long, and so I'm going to tuck them in. Let's try to get them out of the way behind these other cables. So that's a little bit out of the way. That's as good as we're going to get with these cables. Now we got the PCIe cable coming in from this side. It's already pre-lengthed. Let's get that underneath this piece of Velcro. This is coming straight into the bottom area, so we'll let it go here. I love the way they engineered this, so it's easy to do the Velcro. You don't have to thread it. Just come in from the side. Same here. Don't have to thread it, just come in from the side. Now, we wanted this to go in this bottom PCIe slot.
Not the one in the front? Just because
Up here, say does. Up here in the front, it'll kind of get in the way if we have to put something else back here, so we go as far back as we can.
Well, in this trial period, will we need to put anything else in?
Yeah, we're eventually going to have to put in a graphics card cable, but not for Hello World. So this is going to go. Now, I look at this length, it's really just about perfect, so I'm not going to change the length of this cable.
Yeah, that looks good.
There it is. You see that? And that's
Not with your hands.
All right.
Okay, got it.
Got it in. All right, that's all the cables. Let's go back to the other side, Di.
All right.
So for PCIe, we'll leave it at 65 centimeters. And we're ready to go for the order. We can't order the cables yet because we still need to get the graphics card put together, but that's after Hello World, all right? We don't want to buy that graphics card and find out we have to replace the CPU or the motherboard and then lose our return window on the graphics card.
So we're all connected.
Yeah, we're connected to the power supply. We still got to connect to the case, and we got to do Hello World. We're going to get there, and after that, we're going to build this out all the way to a custom water loop and overclocking. So please stay tuned. Please subscribe to see the rest.
And we love the thumbs ups.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.